Welcome to Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. I'm your host, George Blaze. As students prepare to move on from high school, many may already have plans in motion, while some families and students might not even know how to begin their journey. That's okay. ISAC is here for you. ISAC has programs and resources to help you build a foundation and to find out and discover what's possible for you, with resources available to help you carve a path to your future. On today's program, we'll be speaking with Abel Montoya, Director of Outreach Operations at ISAC, and Robin Coates, an ISAC Corps member. We'll also get some direct insight from Pat Ackerman in the Financial Aid Office at Moraine Valley Community College. So let's get right into it. Joining me now is Abel Montoya, Director of Outreach Operations at ISAC. Abel, so good to talk to you today.
It's my pleasure. It's good to be here, George.
Well, there may be people watching today who aren't familiar with ISAC. Just give us a little bit of a background of what ISAC is really all about.
Sure. So ISAC, we're a state agency that helps students in Illinois help them make college affordable and accessible after high school.
Now, of course, there's many online tools that ISAC makes available to students, but we've been through such a strange year this past year. Have there been significant changes in your process from previous years?
Well, the mechanics themselves haven't really changed in filling out the FAFSA itself, but we have to do everything virtually this year because of the pandemic. So it's been really tough for the families and for the students. And by the way, the FAFSA, for those that are new, is the free application federal student aid, which is a federal form that helps students pay for college.
And FAFSA, what does it consist of? I mean, what does the form look like? How long does it take to fill out?
Sure. Oftentimes, the FAFSA can be intimidating for families because, first of all, it's the first time they're doing it and has over 100 questions on it. But when they do it online, there's something called a project, so they don't get to see all the questions. They see the questions that are pertinent to them or relevant to their specific situation. And when they fill out this form, it's going to ask for student information, it's going to ask for parent information, it's going to ask for information on their income, on their taxes, and all this is used to determine if they qualify for any federal aid, or in this case, the state of Illinois, any state aid, or any financial aid from the college themselves.
Now, should the students be filling this out? Should their parents? Should be a combination of both? What do you recommend?
Yeah, it's the combination of both. So there's a section for the students and where they provide their demographic information, their name, their date of birth, their social security number. And then also there's a section for the parents where they indicate, the parents married, are they divorced, are they separated? And for both sections, they have to put information about their income and their assets. And this information is used to determine, what is the ability of this family to pay for college? Because the students may be able to only afford a certain amount of money, but the cost, may be much higher. So the FAFSA tries to bridge that gap between what they can afford and what the college costs.
Now, there may be families and communities out here that feel trepidatious about offering up a lot of personal financial information about their household for any number of reasons. Is there a reason for them to be concerned about submitting this type of really personal information?
No, they shouldn't be concerned at all, because what happens is everything that's provided is confidential. And when the student submits this FAFSA, it goes to the Department of Education, and the Department of Education sends a summary back to the student of everything they provided. And then the student, when they fill out the form, they indicate the colleges that they wish to receive this information. So it really is just the student, the Department of Education, and the colleges to which the information is sent, because they use this information to package the student, to determine what money that they will be able to give to the student in the form of their award letter. And also the state of Illinois, we get that information for people who live in Illinois to determine if we can give them the state grant, which is called the MAP grant.
Students who may not be familiar with this process may think that when you're filing for financial aid, it's just one kind of aid you can get. But actually, there's a whole library of possible combinations of things that I guess you can put together to help pay for college.
Correct. So what happens is, you have financial aid from the Department of Education, you have financial aid from the state of Illinois, and then also for the students who are not eligible to fill out the FAFSA, specifically undocumented students who reside in Illinois, or transgender students who didn't sign up for select service, they could fill out the alternative application for Illinois financial aid. Then, of course, there's the colleges themselves, and then private scholarships that students tend to apply, and hopefully they do so every year.
Should students be applying for colleges even before they fill out the FAFSA? Should that be a concern to them?
I always tell families do it in the fall, okay? Fall of senior year, that is. And colleges will start taking applications for admission typically in September. The FAFSA itself doesn't open up until October 1st. And so I tell students apply for college and do the FAFSA around the same time. Get it done before Thanksgiving is what I usually tell them. Because what happens is when the holidays roll around, you get distracted with the holidays, then it's Christmas, and it's New Year's, and then before you know it, it's after January. And some colleges have an earlier deadline of January 1st or maybe in December. So getting it done early is ideal. So it doesn't necessarily have to be done before you apply to college, but typically around the same time would be ideal.
Now, I know we talked a little bit about it, but there may be students who, for whatever reason, may not qualify for federal student aids. What options do they have?
Sure. So for the students that don't qualify for federal financial aid, I always tell them make sure you look for scholarships, private scholarships for which you qualify. But for students who are undocumented, who reside in Illinois, or who are transgender and didn't register for selective service, they can submit what's called the alternative application for Illinois financial aid, which is a relatively new application that opened up as a result of legislation that was passed in Illinois just a couple of years ago.
Once a student is actually in college and they're in need of more money, obviously, can they continue and repeat this process every year?
Yes, they actually have to apply every year. They fill out the FAFSA every year, and it opens up every October 1st. And the reason they do it every year is because the colleges want to make sure that there haven't really been any changes. In some cases there have been changes because there may be more students in college. Maybe the size of the household has increased, so the parents have more expenses. The income of the family may have changed, and we know this has been the case for the pandemic for many people. So that's why it's important to fill out this form every year to make sure students get considered for all types of financial aid for which they are eligible.
Well, we've got about a minute left here. We don't want to stress. We can't overstress. Once you get these loans, you got to make a plan to pay them off.
That is correct. I tell families only borrow what you need and no more, because these loans are not going to be dischargeable in bankruptcy, with very, very rare exceptions. And when you get that financial aid offer, extrapolate how much you're going to be borrowing over the tenure of the program to get an idea, so you're not shocked at the end of how much money you actually are owing or have to pay back. So proceed with caution, but borrow what you need and no more.
Exactly. These college loan, they can be relentless, and they're going to get that money one way or the other. So really great advice there. We're just getting started. When Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC, continues, we'll focus our discussion on some parent areas in navigating the path, and we'll dive deeper into FAFSA with an ISAC core member. So much more to come, so stick around. Welcome back to Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. I'm your host, George Blaze. Now that we've scratched the surface on FAFSA, it's time to really get into what parents need to know. With me again is Abel Montoya, Director of Outreach Operations with ISAC, and also joining us is Robin Coates. She's an ISAC core member with Kennedy King College District. Robin, it's good to see you. What exactly does an ISAC core member do?
Thanks for having me, George. Here at ISAC, an ISAC core member is a near-peer mentor to help students navigate the college loan process. So whether it be the college applications, personal statements, applying for scholarships, or, holistically the financial aid application itself.
And we've talked about how this process is a combination of the student and the parent getting together, but what specific things can parents really do to support their student through this process?
George, I think you already hit it, just to be supportive in general. With the financial aid application, there is a student portion and a parent portion. And, having that support of the parents, so, getting that text information in a timely manner to make sure that their students are getting their financial aid application as soon as possible after October 1st, I think is the main goal. along with that, being supportive of where their student wants to go to school, wants to pursue their education, the different majors that they're thinking about pursuing. So overall, just being supportive and helpful in this, really tough and very strenuous process.
And if I can add to that too, sometimes parents don't know how they can be supportive of the kids. They think that they have to know how to fill out this form, which can be intimidating. But just by being there and trying to help and being supportive of the child as they fill out this form, that goes a long way in making this process seem a little less daunting for the families.
Now, Abel, we mentioned briefly about this FAFSA mandate. What exactly is the FAFSA mandate?
So the FAFSA mandate, and I'm glad you brought that up, George, is a new requirement that all seniors have to fulfill to graduate from high school in the state of Illinois. And they can fulfill this FAFSA mandate by either completing the FAFSA itself, the free application for federal student aid, or the alternative application for Illinois financial aid if they don't qualify to fill out the FAFSA. So I tell students, get this requirement out of the way, get it done early, get it done in the fall, and then this way you have one less thing to worry about prior to graduating from high school.
As we were discussing kind of alternative funding methods, the Parents Plus loans is out there. What is the Parent Plus loan?
So with the Parent Plus loans, I tell parents proceed with caution because these are loans that the parents are taking out to help pay for their child's education. So the parents are going to be responsible for those loans. And I tell the parents, okay, think about how much you can realistically borrow. And also, do you have other kids that are going to go to college? What happens when it's their turn to go to college? And then also, this is going to be for every year. So it's not just 1 year and then you're done. It's for the however long it's going to take to graduate from college. And then I also tell parents, this may lengthen the time you have to work if you're getting close to retirement. So, borrow wisely and carefully to make sure you don't get in over your head and get yourself in some type of financial difficulty down the road.
Now, Robin, as an ISAC core member, it's near and dear to your heart what these students are going through personally. You've been through some of it yourself. There may be parents or families out there that have the best intentions, but they want to keep their baby close to home. And in terms of options and allowing their student to explore places to actually apply for college, it may be limited because they may feel their parents don't want them to leave the city.
Yes, George. This is very true. I work with a lot of students who, they come into this situation where their parents, want them to stay home. Their parents want them to live at home and go closer. I always have students explore options that are close to home, and then some that are a little bit further. That doesn't mean necessarily out of the state, but maybe an hour or two away. And oftentimes when students begin to go on college tours and tour campuses, they realize that, maybe being just 2 hours away is just enough. And sometimes, those parents, they feel like, okay, you're farther enough to where you won't get on my nerves, but you're close enough that if something goes wrong, I can get to you, right? So just really exploring all of the options and not thinking that being close to home is 30 minutes or living at home, but it can also be just an hour away or hour and a half away. So really just exploring all the options that are out there.
Abel, you have to agree that it's important for parents, they want to protect their kids, but they want to make sure they give their kids enough options so that they find the right pick.
Yes, absolutely, George. This is a really big and important decision. So I tell families, sit down, have a conversation, have an honest conversation about where they're going to be going and get a good fit, academically, socially, and financially. So they have a great and wonderful and happy college experience.
Robin, for parents who still may have further questions, what are some other ways they can get their questions answered?
Another way that they can get their question answered, George, is by going to our website at isac.org. And within the website, you can find core members that are near you in the community district that you live in. And so by doing that, you can reach out to a core member via text, email, phone to get your questions answered and to receive any other support that you're looking for.
And I would say don't hesitate to call them. I mean, don't leave any question unanswered because we know people have questions and we're here to help. We're here to help you get the answer that you need for the questions that you do have. So please reach out.
Well, Robin and Abel, thank you so much. Such great information there. And like I said, it's the whole family has to get together, and we got to let go of some of these fears. People are afraid of so many things. The most important things is our students achieve the best they can. So it's some great information and some great help that ISAC is giving out there. We're going to take a short break. Later in the show, Abel will be back and we'll talk some specifics about things that high school seniors need to know about. Up next, we'll get vital information directly from a member of a financial aid office at a college. That and more when Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC, continues. Welcome back to Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. I'm your host, George Blaze. What do financial aid departments at colleges need from their future students? Well, these departments actually are there to help you. Joining me now is Pat Ackerman from the Financial Aid Department at Moraine Valley Community College. Pat, so good to talk to you today.
Good speaking with you too, George. How are you today?
Things are going great. We're talking about trying to assist students who are going through high school and trying to carve a path after high school. Making the right choice, finding the right fit is so important. And it's schools like Moraine Valley Community College that offer these certificate programs and degrees in areas that are really applicable in today's world. Anything from logistics, automotive sciences and technologies, things that you can get on the ground running and get right in the game.
Yeah, there are a lot of different opportunities for students here at Moraine Valley. And when you're going through this process, be it here or at a different institution, it's important to know what is available and to know your resources. So for example, in our financial aid department, we do offer office hours where students can come in, we can sit them at a computer and they can work on their FAFSA application. They can look at their offer letters. They can look at what documents they need to submit for verification. There are a lot of different things that we can do to help them. But in your high schools, there are ISAC Corps representatives as well. They offer a lot of different programs and opportunities. I was a former ISAC Corps representative myself, so I can speak for their work. And they do offer a lot of great support and tools for the community.
One of the things that go on that many students may not actually take advantage of are the college fairs. What's the importance of taking advantage of college fairs?
Yeah, so college fairs, it's usually laid out in a gym somewhere, and you have admissions reps from all over the place, from 2-year schools, 4-year schools. Even if college isn't your thing, there's still trade options that are there. The military's usually there. There's a lot of different questions that you can ask them about their institution, but kind of jumping a little ahead, you could also request a tour. Now, when I was going through this process, when I was a young warthog, I had taken a tour of Elmhurst University, which is where I wound up. Go Blue Jays. And that's where I decided to go because of that college tour. It was really instrumental in determining what school was the best fit for me.
Now, we've talked a little bit about applying for federal financial aid and certain kinds of loans that are available. As far as scholarships are concerned, how do you find the right scholarship or what's actually available out there?
Yeah. So there's a lot of free websites that are available, your FastWebs, your scholarships.com, but you're going to want to make sure you don't have to pay to use those websites because you shouldn't have to pay money to get free money. You should make sure that you're also looking at the colleges to see what institutional money is available. Here at Moraine, through our foundation, we have scholarships available every single year. The deadline for that application is March 31st, though we are known to extend that, but you're also going to want to make sure that you meet those deadlines.
Of course, we want to make sure that we know that the financial aid department, I know that when I was in college many years ago, everyone was always afraid of going to the financial aid department or the bursar's desk or the cashier. But you guys are actually there to help the students.
Absolutely. We are more than happy to assist as you're going through this process. It can be very intimidating, even if this is your first time. I was a first-generation college student myself, and I know my parents took advantage of every resource and encouraged me to take advantage of every resource that was available. So just know your resources and know that people are ready and willing to help you succeed.
One of the main things that, I mention all the time is that there's many families who, or students even, that make a choice maybe not to go to college because they're afraid that the financial burden will be too much for their family. Paying for college should not be the obstacle to making the choice.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. There are a lot of different options that are available to parents and students. You really have to determine what is a good financial fit for you. You're going to have to make sure that you understand what kind of degree you're going for, what debt you're willing to assume, how far you're willing to go for your education. So, for example, doctors obviously need more education than other fields, so you're going to be taking out a little bit more debt. Now, there's also options like, say, if you're going to a community college, that's a little cheaper and it's a good way to draw down those costs early on.
Well, Pat, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. You're exactly the kind of face and mind that we need out there, and to re-stress that these are the kind of people out here that are there to help you. So thank you, Pat, for all the work you do.
No problem. Thank you, George, for your kind words. I really do appreciate the opportunity to be on with you today.
Absolutely. And if people want more information about Moraine Valley Community College, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can contact us directly with specific financial aid information at 708-974-5726, or they can go email us at financialaid@morainevalley.edu. But if you want more general information about the college, you can go to www.morainevalley.edu.
There's more to come on Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC. When we come back, we'll give you some important steps you need to navigate your path. You'll want to get a pen and paper out and write some of this down. It's important. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Your Path After High School, presented by ISAC. Joining me once again is Abel Montoya, Director of Outreach Operations at ISAC. Now, Abel, we have kind of a checklist here of things students need to think about to carve a path after high school. It's kind of a rapid fire thing here, so go ahead. What's our first step?
Well, George, the first step on our checklist is applying to college. The deadline for many colleges is typically January 1st. So make sure you apply to at least 3, if not more, colleges in the fall semester of a student senior. That's the first thing on our list.
Okay, we've applied to our colleges. What do we think about next?
Well, the next thing on our list would be applying for financial aid. And this is where you fill out either the FAFSA, which is the pre-application federal student aid, or the alternative app for Illinois financial aid. And you do so beginning October 1st of the student's senior year.
And then, of course, you fill out paperwork. You're waiting for it to come back. You get award letters then, right?
That is correct. You get an award letter next in our checklist, and that typically has anywhere from December through March. And the colleges that you listed on your FAFSA in our prior step, they will send a financial aid offer that tells the student what exactly they can expect to pay out of pocket and what they're going to get in financial aid from the college, from the state, from the Department of Education. So then they can go on to the next step and talk with the families about what this means for them.
Well, we've got our financial situation kind of put together. What happens next?
Well, the next step on our checklist is making a decision. You have to decide, and you have to make that decision by May 1st, because that's the deadline that most colleges will give you to decide where you're going to be attending. And this is where you get together as a family and discuss, what's the right fit for me? Where will I be happy, socially, financially, and academically? So you're good to go, and you make a decision, and you do so by May 1st, and you let the college, let them know, hey, I'm coming.
It's always nerve-wracking when you get multiple envelopes, big ones and little ones. You got to open all of them to find out what's in there. Are there things we need to think about after we make our decision?
After we make our decision, the next thing you got to do is figure out what you need to do for that particular college. If you're going to live on campus, you need to sign a housing contract or send a housing deposit. You may have to sign up for placement testing. And you also need to sign up to meet with, have an appointment to meet with an academic advisor during your summer orientation to select your courses for the fall. So when you do all of this, when that first day of class begins, you're in great shape. You're all set, you're ready to go, and hopefully embarking on a great, wonderful, and happy experience in your new home for the next few years.
Great information there, Abel. Thank you so much. It's a great way to carve your path after high school. ISAC, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, provides direct services statewide to students and parents in helping them navigate the process of education after high school, financial aid, college search and admissions, and more. To find out more about your path after high school, visit isac.org. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, George Blaze, and good luck on your journey.